It's midnight and you're tuned into Nightline with me, Natasha Busst. The top stories. Thai Prime Minister suspended from duty amid probe into leaked phone call. And federal court upholds conviction of 3 accused in Kevin Morais' murder case. Good morning. We begin Nightline with this story. Thailand's Constitutional Court on Tuesday suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra from office pending an ethics investigation over a leaked phone call with a senior Cambodian official. The court accepted a petition from 36 senators accusing Paetongtarn of dishonesty and breaching ethical standards in violation of the constitution over a leaked phone conversation with Cambodia's influential former leader Hun Sen. In response, Paetongtarn said she accepted the court's decision and apologized to the public. In the meantime, her deputy, Surya Juangrung Ruangkit, will assume a caretaker role while the court decides the case against Paetongtarn, who has 15 days to respond. Paetongtarn, however, will remain in the cabinet as the new culture minister following a cabinet reshuffle. In the lead call, which took place on June 15th, Paetongtarn could be heard calling Hun Sen uncle and appeared to criticize her own army's actions after border clashes led to the death of a Cambodian soldier last month. Earlier, Paetongtarn revamped her cabinet in a move aimed at easing a political crisis that has brought her government to the brink over her handling of a border dispute. According to a Royal Gazette notification endorsed by King Mahavajiralongkorn, the new cabinet lineup included a former bureaucrat, Jatuporn Buruspat, as the new commerce minister and several other new faces. Senior Puthai politician Phumtham Wechayachai was shifted to the Interior Ministry from the Defense Ministry. The reshuffle, Paetongtarn's first since becoming Prime Minister in August, is aimed at strengthening support from smaller parties still in her coalition after the Bumchai Thai Party, the second largest group, left last month, leaving her with only a narrow majority in parliament. Muslims are reminded not to be overzealous in finding fault among themselves, as doing so risks undermining the unity of the Ummah and the nation. The Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah, pointed out that Muslims today seem increasingly inclined to expose one another's shortcomings and engage in disputes. Sultan Nazrin highlighted the matter when chairing the 73rd meeting of the National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs, or MKI, in Putrajaya on Tuesday. Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim was also present. In his address, the Perak ruler also called on Muslims and the Malay community to avoid internal disputes.
Jika keadaan ini berlarutan, umat Islam dan orang Melayu tidak lagi memerlukan musuh dari luar untuk memusnahkan kesucian Islam dan mencemarkan maruah bangsa.
His Royal Highness referred to the Constitution of Madinah, describing it as a highly significant foundation of Islamic governance, which should be studied in line with the spirit embodied in the federal constitution. He said both constitutions reflect the values of unity, justice, multiracial cooperation, and recognition of the rule of law, all of which form the core foundation in building a nation.
Ahli keluarga dan para sahabat baginda.
Meanwhile, the government will continue to make every effort within its means and capacity to uphold the position of Islam. The Prime Minister explained that this would be carried out within the framework of the federal constitution and in line with the spirit of Malaysia Madani. In a social media post, Anwar said the MKI meeting serves as an important platform for coordination between the royal institution and the government in managing Islamic affairs in the country. This is particularly focused on strengthening human development grounded in compassion, ethics, and knowledge, all aimed at upholding human dignity. The aero trade service at Terminal 1 of Kuala Lumpur International Airport, which had been suspended for over 2 years, resumed operations on Tuesday. The Prime Minister, who personally tested the newly upgraded aero train, commended the improvements made compared to the previous version. Anwar arrived at KLIA at 12:50 p.m. accompanied by Transport Minister Anthony Loke to see the upgraded facilities firsthand. Each 3-car train unit can carry up to 270 passengers and operates at a maximum speed of 56 kilometers per hour, reducing travel time between the main terminal and the satellite terminal, with a one-way journey taking 2.5 minutes.
Okey ke Datuk Seri?
Okey, Datuk Seri.
The driverless automated train service underwent a 456 million ringgit upgrade under Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad's transformation plan aimed at future-proofing the airport. It is also equipped with state-of-the-art condition monitoring systems to minimize service disruptions and enhance passenger comfort. The federal court on Tuesday upheld the death sentence against former pathologist R. Kunasigaran over the murder of Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Kevin Morais 10 years ago. The 3-judge panel, led by Chief Justice Tun Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, also sentenced R. Ravichandran to 40 years in prison and S. Nimalan to 35 years with 12 strokes of the cane. Ravichandran was exempted from caning due to his age. The Apex Court also ordered the immediate acquittal and release of 3 other accused, R. Dineshwaran, A.K. Dinesh Kumar and M. Vishwanath, after the prosecution failed to establish a prima facie case against them. Tengku Maimun, who sat alongside Court of Appeal President Tan Sri Abang Iskandar Abang Hashim and Federal Court Judge Datuk Rosaria Bujang, said Kunasigaran's death was maintained as he had withdrawn his appeal against his conviction and the death sentence previously imposed by the High Court. On July 10, 2020, the Kuala Lumpur High Court convicted all the accused of murdering Morais somewhere between Sentul, Kuala Lumpur and Subang Jaya, Selangor on September 4, 2015. Their appeal was later dismissed by the Court of Appeal in March last year. Morais was last seen leaving in a car from his Menara Duta condominium in Kuala Lumpur, heading to his office at the Attorney General's chambers in Putrajaya. His body was found in a concrete-filled drum in Subang Jaya on September 16, 2015. In another case, the federal court declared it unconstitutional to criminalize the failure to notify the police 5 days in advance before holding a peaceful assembly. The unanimous decision was delivered by Tengku Maimun, who said Section 9, Subsection 5 of the Peaceful Assembly Act 2012 was a disproportionate intervention and amounted to a prohibition rather than a restriction. According to Tengku Maimun, Section 9, Subsection 5 of the Peaceful Assembly Act 2012 imposes a penalty that goes beyond what is allowed under Article 10, Subsection 1b of the Federal Constitution, which guarantees the freedom of speech, assembly and association. The decision was made following a constitutional challenge brought by former MUDA Secretary General Amir Hadi, who was charged under Section 9, Subsection 1 of the Act in 2022 with failing to give the police 5 days' notice before organizing a protest outside a shopping complex in Kuala Lumpur. He subsequently filed a constitutional challenge against Section 9, Subsection 5 of the Act. Tengku Maimun also ordered for Amir's ongoing criminal case to be returned to the High Court to be resolved in accordance with the federal court's ruling. Following the federal court ruling, the Home Ministry said it acknowledges the decision and will scrutinize it for further action. Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said this includes reviewing proposed amendments to relevant provisions to ensure they align with the Constitution and the Apex Court's decision. In a statement, Saifuddin emphasized that the Madani government upholds the principles of democracy and the supremacy of the Constitution by protecting the right to peaceful assembly. He said the Prime Minister had announced a moratorium on prosecutions under Section 9, Subsection 5 of the Peaceful Assembly Act, which requires organizers to inform police of any gathering 5 days in advance. In line with this commitment, the Home Ministry will table amendments to Section 11 of the Act in the upcoming parliamentary sitting. Meanwhile, a separate panel of the federal court has dismissed Datuk Sri Najib Razak's final bid to block the Attorney General's appeal against his judicial review application relating to the purported addendum order that would allow him to serve his sentence under house arrest. The three-judge panel, led by Chief Judge of Malaya Tan Sri Hasna Muhammad Hashim, unanimously dismissed Najib's objection, citing that the issue involves novel legal questions that deserve full consideration. The court also set the status of the so-called royal directive and whether it falls under the court's authority must be examined. The appeal hearing is set to continue on Wednesday. Najib is currently serving a 6-year prison term for misappropriating 42 million ringgit from SRC International. Moving on, several more structural reforms are being formulated to support the country's economic growth in a sustainable and inclusive manner. These include reforms in the judicial system, public institutions, and the civil service. In his keynote address at the Invest ASEAN Malaysia conference in Kuala Lumpur, Second Finance Minister Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan emphasized that structural reforms are necessary to navigate an increasingly uncertain external environment.
Institutional strengthening, fiscal discipline, innovation and capacity building are complements to sustainable, resilient economic expansion that is capable of weathering future global disruptions.
Touching on the expansion of the Sales and Service Tax, or SST, which came into effect on Tuesday, Amir Hamzah said a targeted approach was used to revise the list of goods and services subject to the SST to take into account the financial impact on affected groups. Meanwhile, the SST expansion is seen as a strategic approach to strengthen national revenue and broaden the country's tax base. The extension is also viewed as a balanced and inclusive move that avoids burdening the wider public. According to KPMG Malaysia's head of tax, Solian Seng, the expansion was implemented by taking into account public views and opinions.
For example, several essential goods such as apples, oranges, and Kuma, which were initially taxed, have now been reclassified as SST exempt items. This reflects the government's concern for the cost of living and its readiness to adjust policies based on public feedback.
Meanwhile, Treasurer General of the Associated Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia, Datuk Kung Lin Long, believes that there are certain areas where the SST can still be improved.
The first is the clarified the industry or the product or the services need to be taxed in this expansion scope. The second one, for instance, the policy, the construction industry, whether material will be in or the only service portion. I think this one needs to have a policy clarifications.
Media Prima Berhad on Tuesday welcomed council members of the Malaysian Advertisers Association, or MAA, for a corporate visit aimed at strengthening industry ties and exploring strategic collaboration. The delegation, led by MAA President Claudia Navin Stanislaus, met with Media Prima's senior leadership, headed by Group Managing Director Rafiq Razali, and discussed various matters, including shifting audience behavior and the role of local content in resonating with Malaysian consumers. Among those present during the visit at Balai Berita in Bangsa were Media Prima Group Chief Financial Officer Rosli Sabarudin and Chief Executive Officer of Media Prima Television Networks and Primeworks Studios, Nini Yusof. The visit provided an opportunity for MAA to view how a local media brand like Media Prima is focused on meeting local needs and supporting brands in meaningful ways.
The idea behind meeting here was to get everyone on the same page so that collectively we need to work together as an industry, irrespective of company, irrespective of brands that we represent, but work together towards moving Malaysian ecosystem for brands to thrive and for consumers to benefit from that.
The delegation also toured Media Prima's editorial floors, followed by stops at Rev Media Group, the News and Current Affairs Studios, and Media Prima Audio. Drug lab making narcotics-laced vape liquids busted. This and more from the local front after this breather.
Salah satu tikaman di leher memutuskan arteri dan mangsa meninggal dunia. Mayat tersebut ditemui dalam lubang kumbahan najis.
Suspek yang juga anak bongsu kepada mangsa mengaku menusuk pisau pemotong sayur pada bahagian leher.
Mayat dalam keadaan kaku seperti keadaan bongkok.
Sangka baik pun boleh jadi buruk kalau ada yang menghasut. Kenapa pilih untuk jadi penghasut? Oh, Komang. Degoyan dah berbunga. Musim durian datang lagi, banyak menu yang boleh kita cuba. Dalam hubungan, pasti ada keinginan untuk memiliki. Tapi jangan sampai kita menakluki. Lelaki pun boleh disabitkan issues tau. Hati-hati, jangan sampai pasangan kita terasa. Ada, tapi macam tak ada je. Jangan biarkan pasangan kita keseorangan. Semuanya dan banyak lagi di Wanita Hari Ini dan stream sekarang ditonton. Wanita Hari Ini.
Thanks for staying with us. Efforts to smuggle drugs, e-cigarette devices and other contraband items have been thwarted by Perak Customs in 4 separate operations since May 27th. Among the seized goods were marble tiles, vehicles and pork carcasses with a total estimated value exceeding 10 million ringgit inclusive of duties. In one of the drug-related cases, 8 plastic packages containing suspected cannabis buds were seized in Petaling Jaya on June 5th. The total gross weight of the dried plant material was nearly 1 kilogram, valued at more than 966,000 ringgit. Investigations revealed that the drug packages were sent via a courier service and were believed to be destined for the United Kingdom. In another major seizure, customs officers uncovered a large consignment of electronic vape devices and liquids hidden in a shipping container at Port Klang on June 4th. A detailed inspection found 55,320 units of vapes of various brands, along with 706 pieces of marble tiles falsely declared as plastic goods. The total estimated value of the vape items alone, including taxes, is over 1.3 million ringgit. In Selangor, police have seized various drugs worth 21.85 million ringgit after uncovering a lab used to process vape liquid in 2 raids conducted in the Klang Valley. State Police Chief Dato' Hussein Omar Khan said the operation led to the arrest of 5 suspects, including an individual who acted as a chemist. The raids were carried out simultaneously at 2 condominium units in Ampang on June 25th. The seizure included MDMA liquid, cocaine powder, drug-laced vape cartridges, and ganja buds. The 5 suspects comprised 3 Taiwanese men, a local man, and a Vietnamese woman, all aged between 20 and 37.
Modus operandi sindiket ini adalah dengan menyewa 2 unit kondominium dengan sewaan bulanan sebanyak ringgit Malaysia 6,000 seunit dan menjadikan unit kediaman tersebut sebagai tempat memproses cecair vape sebelum dipasarkan untuk pasaran tempatan dan juga pasaran luar negara.
Checks revealed that 2 of the foreign male suspects had a prior criminal record, including offences related to document forgery, criminal intimidation, fraud, drugs, public disorder, and assault. The syndicate is believed to have been active since October 2024, allegedly distributing its products via agents and delivery personnel to entertain outlets and private parties. Police also seized vehicles, branded watches, laptops, and cash in both local and foreign currencies, bringing the total value of seizures and confiscated assets to 21.9 million ringgit. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Meanwhile, the prime suspect in the murder of Manisha Preet Kaur Akara, a student at a private university in Cyberjaya, is believed to have spent the night at her condominium unit several times with his girlfriend before the incident. Hussein said investigations revealed that the victim's housemate, who is also the suspect's girlfriend, had handed him the access card and keys to the unit for his use before the incident. According to Hussein, the suspect's 2 housemates, including his girlfriend, were not at home during the incident. Investigations suggest the suspect likely took advantage of the victim, who was alone at the time.
Suspek memang ada niat tidak baik ke atas mangsa ini. Jadi bila dia ada peluang pada waktu kejadian, berada di apartmen itu menggunakan kad akses dan juga kunci yang diberikan oleh teman wanita dia.
The suspect also allegedly withdrew 200 ringgit using the victim's bank card. He is among 4 individuals who have been remanded since June 27th to assist in the murder probe. Police are currently finalizing the investigation papers and are expected to submit them to the Deputy Public Prosecutor soon. Manisha Prit, a Bachelor of Physiotherapy student at a university in Cyberjaya, was discovered dead with injuries on her body by a friend at 10 a.m. on June 23rd. A post-mortem later confirmed the cause of death as blunt force trauma to the head. In Negeri Sembilan, the decomposed bodies of 3 individuals were found in a house along Jalan Bukit Crystal in Seremban on Tuesday afternoon. The gruesome discovery was made after a neighbor lodged a police report at around 5 p.m. upon detecting a foul odor coming from the house. The victims are believed to be from the same family. A neighbor said the house was occupied by a married couple and their autistic son, believed to be in his 30s. Seremban Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Hatta Chedin said further investigations into the incident are ongoing. The bodies were later taken to the Forensic Department of Rumbau Hospital for post-mortem. The Inland Revenue Board is accelerating its digital tax compliance drive with the rollout of Phase 3 of e-invoicing on Tuesday, a move set to impact around 55,000 businesses earning between 5 million and 25 million ringgit annually. Its Deputy Chief Executive Officer for Tax Operations, Shaharuddin Othman, said the agency is stepping up efforts to educate and raise awareness among target groups to ensure that the implementation of the e-invoice system runs smoothly and comprehensively.
Hasil terus memberikan sokongan dan komitmen dengan mempergiat promosi dan mendidik Bea Cukai ke arah pelaksanaan e-invoice, terutama kepada golongan PMKS.
A total of 352 million e-invoices have been submitted via the My Invoice system to date. This involves over 37,800 taxpayers, including about 5,400 taxpayers from Phase 1 and more than 13,000 taxpayers from Phase 2. Furthermore, over 19,000 taxpayers have voluntarily adopted e-invoicing ahead of their scheduled implementation dates. U.S. senators spent a marathon session of amendment votes on Tuesday as Republicans sought to pass President Donald Trump's flagship spending bill, an unpopular package set to slash social welfare programs and add $3 trillion to the national debt. The president wants his One Big Beautiful bill to extend expiring first-term tax cuts at a cost of $4.5 trillion, boost military spending, and fund mass deportations and border security. However, senators, wary of the 2026 midterms, are split over provisions that would cut about $1 trillion in subsidized health care for millions of poor Americans and add $3.3 trillion to deficits over the next decade. Trump hopes to sign the package before Independence Day celebrations begin Friday. Progress slowed to a crawl Monday, with the so-called vote-a-rama allowing unlimited amendments dragging into a 17th hour and showing no end in sight.
Is there a sufficient second? There is.
Al Hilal pull off the biggest upset. The details when Nightline returns.
Di sini kita nak kongsi penjagaan si bulus. Kucing pun nak kena grooming.
Tekanan atau stres menunjukkan anda mengalami hormon kortisol yang tidak stabil. Ketahui cara mengawalnya.
Semakin sesebuah negara maju, semakin banyak gejala sosial remaja. Terapi online antara solusi terkini.
Kedai makan yang ada haiwan peliharaan, terjaminkah kebersihannya?
Dan soal wang terma kelulusan transaksi perbankan melalui Secure.
MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Juga stream ditonton hanya di TV3.
Salah satu tikaman di leher memutuskan arteri dan mangsa meninggal dunia.
Mayat tersebut ditemui dalam lubang kumbahan najis.
Suspek yang juga anak bongsu kepada mangsa mengaku menusuk pisau pemotong sayur pada bahagian leher.
Mayat dalam keadaan kaku seperti keadaan bongkok ni.
News from the foreign front. At least 95 Palestinians were killed after Zionist forces bombed a cafe, a school, food distribution sites, and attacked a hospital in Gaza. 62 of the victims of Monday's attacks were in Gaza City and the north of the territory. In the deadliest single strike of the day, Zionist fighter jets bombed an internet cafe with a children's birthday party underway, killing at least 39 people. Among the dead was a journalist as well as women and children who had gathered at the cafe. Zionist forces also carried out an airstrike on a food distribution warehouse in the Zaytun neighborhood, killing at least 13 people. In other news, at least 2 people died in Italy on Tuesday as temperatures continue to soar amid an intense heat wave across Europe. In France, the top of the Eiffel Tower in Paris has also been closed due to the heat wave, while parts of Spain and Portugal recorded their highest ever June temperatures, with 46 degrees Celsius registered at El Granado in southwest Spain. In Turkey, rescuers evacuated more than 50,000 people, mostly from the western province of Izmir, as firefighters continued to put out hundreds of wildfires that had broken out in recent days. Sports now, football and the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Saudi Arabian side Al Hilal sent English giants Manchester City crashing out of the tournament on Monday, snatching a shock 4-3 victory in extra time, the biggest upset so far. City took the lead in the 9th minute in controversial fashion as Bernardo Silva finished off Ryan Aït-Nouri's cross. However, Al Hilal hit back in the second half, taking the lead through goals from Marcos Leonardo and Malcolm. Erling Haaland quickly leveled the score, forcing the match into extra time. Al Hilal regained the lead in the 94th minute with a powerful header from Khalidou Koulibaly before Phil Foden kept City alive with a sharp volley from a tight angle. However, Leonardo struck again to seal a monumental win for the 2021 AFC Champions League winners. The defeat sends City home early while Al Hilal stay in Orlando to face Brazilian side Fluminense in Friday's quarterfinal. Earlier, Fluminense sent Inter Milan packing from the Club World Cup with a 2-0 win in Charlotte that took the Brazilian side through to the quarterfinals. Hirman Cano's stooping header in the 3rd minute gave the Brazilian Giants an early lead, and substitute Hercules sealed the victory with a curling shot from the edge of the box against the run of play in a tense final 25 minutes. The Rio de Janeiro outfit, who qualified for the Club World Cup thanks to their 2023 Copa Libertadores triumph, become the second Brazilian side to reach the last 8 after Palmeiras booked their spot.
And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at visuals of Eggs en Provence at Montagne Sainte-Victoire in France, a unique site where fossilized dinosaur eggs offer a rare glimpse into the region's prehistoric past. With that, I'm Natasha. Thank you for watching and stay safe.